Welcome to the Skill Builder session on researching your dissertation. When producing your dissertation, you may be required to research existing literature or conduct original research or both. You may need to research existing literature to produce a preliminary literature review for your dissertation proposal. This will summarize the knowledge surrounding your chosen topic and identify the gaps that you wish to fill or explore with your own analysis or research. As part of your final dissertation, you may need to undertake an extensive literature review. This is a more definitive summary of the knowledge surrounding your chosen topic, and a skill builder session dedicated to planning, researching, structuring and writing a literature review can be found on the SAS website. Literature reviews may be used in two ways. Most commonly, it will be used to set your original research in context and act as a launching point for it. However, it might also be used as raw material for the dissertation itself. This is because the original ingredient in a dissertation may also be derived from the way in which you analyse existing information gathered in your literature research. Whether the literature researched takes the form of ideas, arguments, case studies or data, it may be that your analysis of it, using different analytic tools or from an original perspective or in a greater depth than previous studies, will form the basis of your dissertation. If your analysis yields new insights around your chosen topic, you will thus be contributing to the scholarly debate around it, as a dissertation should. For all research, including original research, the process is as follows. Establish what you want to find out and why. Decide the best method for gathering the relevant evidence. Design the research process and associated material accordingly. Then use it to conduct your research. Outside a laboratory environment, there are two common research methods used for gathering information in this way. The first is quantitative research, derived of course from the word quantity. This is often used to gather large quantities of numerical data which can then be analysed. Methods might include big online surveys comprising tick-box questionnaires. It yields data. For example, that 74% of customers over 65 trust their bank a lot, or that 62% would recommend their bank to a friend. This form of research, especially if conducted online rather than in person, can be cheap and easy to undertake. However, it can lack depth. For depth of understanding, you might use qualitative research, which, as the name suggests, gathers quality insight into a topic. Qualitative research explores people's reasons, opinions and motivations. It often takes the form of individual interviews or group conversations, otherwise known as focus groups. These yield deeper insights into a topic. For example, the bank staff are always helpful. They don't rush me like the other banks used to. This research method can take more time to arrange, require more facilities and, as a result, cost more to conduct. You may decide to apply both methods separately to a research question to achieve breadth and depth, gaining maximum insight into a topic. Alternatively, elements of both methods may be used within the same research structure. For example, a quantitative show of hands during a qualitative focus group may yield modest but nevertheless useful data showing that, for example, 7 out of 10 interviewees agreed that they trusted their bank a lot. At the same time, quantitative questionnaires may include space for qualitative insights. For example, an online questionnaire might say, if you have answered a lot, please explain the reason for this. Your findings may therefore include elements of both. For example, according to the survey, 75% of customers trust their bank a lot. As one customer wrote, the bank staff have always taken the time to explain things carefully to me. As with university essays, your research, whether quantitative or qualitative, will need to be well structured, organised into different themes and arranged in a logical flowing order. The different themes of the topic may be further divided into sub-themes as shown. A clear structure will make the research, whether it takes the form of questions in a survey or face-to-face interviews, easier for you to conduct, easier for participants to follow, and the subsequent results easier for you to analyse. If conducting qualitative research, be sure to make a note of who said what, as you would with your sources in an essay, so that comments can be accurately attributed to individuals if and when necessary. Finally, ensure that you test your research design before implementing it. Test your questionnaire by asking a few friends to fill it in. Were there any technical problems when completing it online? Were there any questions they didn't understand? Were the spaces for any comments large enough? For qualitative research, run through your questions in a dummy interview first. Did your questions generate lively discussion? Did you have enough time to ask them all? Testing and, if necessary, revising your methodology before implementing it will help ensure that it yields the required information. Clearly, your research is just one part of the overall process of planning, researching, writing, revising, and checking your dissertation before you submit it. Consider all the practical considerations, cost, logistics, technology, before committing to it, tailoring it as necessary to ensure that you will be able to conduct it successfully within the time frame required. It is worth noting that your research is not set in stone. As you progress, interesting avenues may open up, which, if followed, may result in a much more focused, original, or insightful document. So, don't be afraid to go where the research takes you. Remember, you will be marked on what you produce, not generally on how closely you stuck to your original plan. If your research takes an unexpected turn, you may need to fine-tune your original title or question at the end to reflect your overall conclusion. Finally, don't forget the permissions you may need and the protocols and ethical standards you will need to follow when conducting your research. For example, always obtain the right permissions for photographing and recording participants, especially children, during interviews and focus groups, and for using any such material afterwards. Follow the guidelines given to you by your supervisor or school. For guidance on the broader range of skills needed to write a dissertation, please go to the Skills for Academic Success web pages at www.kent.ac.uk/SAS, where you can book a one-to-one appointment with an SAS advisor and view additional skill builder sessions, including those on dissertations, an overview, literature reviews, and writing up your dissertation.